So in aldehydes and ketones, we have a lot of preparation reactions. Most of them are repetitive ones. First, we will start with nomenclature. Mostly, we will try to revise the common names. IUPAC name writing is relatively easier, but we usually forget what are the common names for most of these compounds. So, we will just revise the common names. You guys can fill on what is the IUPAC name later on. Okay. So, start with me. First, HCHO, we know that this is formaldehyde. CH3CHO is acetaldehyde. If you have an immediate double bond, right, with alpha, then we call it as acrolein. So, which means it is alpha beta unsaturated aldehyde. If the same thing is there with phenyl at the beta position here, right, so this is called cinnamaldehyde. Next one, if you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so 5 carbon here, we call it as valeraldehyde. Now, suppose if you get any particular group at a different position, we always start with alpha, beta, gamma, delta during the IUPAC common naming, and this would become beta hydroxy valeraldehyde. Similarly, instead of phenyl, if you have CH3, okay, if you have only H, it is acrolein. If it is PH, it is cinnamaldehyde. If it is CH3, right, so that is crotonaldehyde. CH3 is crotonaldehyde. The common name for this, you know that it is acetone. Well, this would have only IUPAC name, so I'm not writing the common name for it. Benzene with this is benzaldehyde. It is benzaldehyde. IUPAC name is also benzaldehyde, or it is also been used as benzene carbaldehyde. Okay, so benzaldehyde or benzene carbaldehyde, both are accepted IUPAC names. Next, if we have methoxy group on meta position and the hydroxy groups here, then it is called vanillin. Similarly, if you have ortho substituted or ortho hydroxy benzaldehyde, we have a common name for it, which is salicylaldehyde. See, if you have benzene with C double bond O, we don't call it as a benzaldehyde anymore. We will call it this entire thing is used as phenol, phenyl and one. So it is called as phenone. And this side the connection is with propane, so it is called propionone. Phenone. Got it. Similarly, if one side there is benzaldehyde and the other side is there is phenone, you call it as benzophenone. It's called benzophenone, right? That also brings to the case like here, if you check out, this one is what, CH3 C double bond O from this side, and phenyl will have C double bond O. So this is acetophenone. In fact, these are the accepted IUPACs as well. Got it? So make a note of that. That is acetophenone. Next, if you have this kind of a group here, so basically it's like a furan group with CHO. So because it is derived from furan, we call it as furfural. Especially during problem solving, Cannizzaro reactions, furfural is very useful. So remember it as a common name, furfural. Next, if you have a group like this, right, so it is like a tert-butyl aldehyde here, correct? So then it has a common name, phenylaldehyde. Not very useful. This one is very much useful. Furfural is useful here. Benzophenone is very much used. Next, this one is very useful for us. It is called mesitylene. It would come during the reactions of aldehydes and ketones, right? So just remember that how mesitylene is. Okay. Now same way, just like mesitylene, if you just open all of these bonds and make it as a double bond, it would be called as mesetyl oxide. If just like mesetyl oxide, it is present on both sides here. So this is called 4-one, and this is derived from phthalic acid. So this is written as phthalaldehyde. Phthalaldehyde. Okay, so these are the most common ones, right? So for ones which are accepted IUPAC, you don't have to write another name for it, but for rest of them, especially till this point, you can see till benzaldehyde, you can write the IUPAC name also, right? Most of these are repeated ones, so let's see what are all the reactions we have gone through before. We will just remind once again how the reactions take place in a brief way. See, first one, ozonolysis. From alkenes, through ozonolysis, we were able to get aldehydes and ketones. So if you see that what we used to do, wherever there is a double bond, we used to break the double bond, right? And we used to get this as RCHO, 2 moles of this. But this has to be done in the presence of zinc or DMS, dimethyl sulfur, sulfoxide, right? Dimethyl sulfur, which will become dimethyl sulfoxide, which means this is undergoing reductive ozonolysis, right? So ozonolysis goes through the formation of first molozonoid, right, through ozonoid, and finally after bond breaking it will become aldehydes or ketoforms. So just remember how it goes, right? Note that down and do these 2 questions, simple ones, just to recall how exactly the ozonolysis was done. I am also doing simultaneously, you can check it out. So breaking the bond, first write the numbering 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. On the 7th carbon, because it is reductive ozonolysis, I will have H here, and on the 2nd carbon I will have double bond O here. Next one, again when I break on this side as well as this side here, the first 3 carbons which are there, they will become acetone form here, plus we will have CHO and CHO forming here, right? And the other one which is formed is formaldehyde. Okay, this also has a common name, glyoxal. Okay, so basically glycol which is oxidized form will become glyoxal. Next we will see Wacker's process. Again we are only discussing on the alkenes. So in alkenes, if you have a double bond in the presence of palladium dichloride and oxygen, right, with steam here, treatment in the presence of CuCl2. Okay, this is an industrial preparation for aldehydes, especially if you have CH2 double bond CH2, that is ethene, it would form CH3CHO. Now the way to remember is this, you make an addition of H2O, make an addition of H2O. Why? So that brings to this aldehyde form, because you will get more like an enol form there, right? And that would become aldehyde. So you just add H here and OH here. Yes, beta.
Without rearrangement.
Uh-huh.
Without rearrangement. Wacker's process.
Wacker's process
Without rearrangement.
without rearrangement, yes. Suppose if you have here double bond, see it is more like an addition process beta, right? So we have already have on that double bond, we keep this, imagine like this, we have already H here and OH2 been added on this side, got it? So first make this as OH, this is an easy way to remember, that is not how exactly the method goes. It is not a simple addition where double bond is been added to H plus and water is been added. This is a way to remember that on the double bond you add H plus on that particular side as per Markovnikov's rule, and OH you put it on the side where positive charge might be coming without removing that double bond, right? Then make it as a tautomerized product. Alright. Otherwise, if you see, it's a complex mechanism, correct, where you will have CuCl2 complex being formed first, right? On that, a continuous addition of O2 and H2O happens. That's how it takes place. That mechanism is not something for us, not in our syllabus. All we need to know is how easily we can remember that H plus and OH minus has been substituted here, which makes it as a uh, enol form. Finally, that will end up to aldehydes or ketones. Same is the case, you will remember it for oxo process as well. In oxo also it is like the better way to remember here is addition of H minus and CHO plus, got it? So the reaction is with carbon monoxide and H2, in which you can think like this would become HCO plus and this will become H minus, right? So addition of this again by Markovnikov way. So easy way to remember is like this, CO plus H2, think it is forming as HC double bond O plus and H minus. This is playing the role of electrophile, this is playing the role of nucleophile. So these are the major reactions from alkenes. From alkenes, if you want to get directly aldehydes or ketones, we use ozonolysis, Wacker's process or OXO process. Next, let's see by alkynes here. Alkynes, we have already gone through hydration reaction known as Kucherose reaction. To remind you on the same, Kucherose reaction, what exactly happens? First, we will have a mercury bridge which is formed. Okay, maybe I'll give you the mechanism, that will be easier. See, first CH triple bond CH on which Hg plus 2 is been added as a bridged compound here with CH Hg2 plus been added like this. So this would get sufficiently delta positive on it, and H2O as a nucleophile here undergoes addition. Well, this addition would happen on the more substituted carbon, correct? Remember the same thing we have discussed during the ethers also, cyclic ethers, which is epoxides. The same fundamental here also. This group which is carrying positive charge will distribute positive charge in this alkyl groups. The one which is more stable, suppose if this carbon is more stable carbocation, H2O will attack here. Okay, we'll do that as an example. So H2O will be added there. So this bond will break. So we would have this as CH Hg plus with double bond CH and OH. Okay, so I'm directly writing that as OH, which means by removing out H plus, right? Okay, once you get this here, carbon would take away this charge from here and Hg would come out as Hg2 plus, and as soon as that comes over, this carbon would attack on H plus and we'll get this as CH2 double bond CH and OH, which will tautomerize to form CH3 C double bond OH. Okay. I am sure you have come across this mechanism before. Right. So that's how it happens. I'll just put this as a question here. Right. So if you have any substituted group here, like in this case, if you check it out, okay, addition would happen such a way that we will get OH2 to be added here, and we'll get this double bond which tautomerizes to form this keto. Even if you take oxymercuration demercuration, right, we will have similar reaction. See, this comes with the fact that we might, why this reagent is not taken with double bond. Okay, suppose if you have CH2 double bond CH2, and then we try to treat that with HgSO4 and H plus. Correct. Here electrophilic addition is most favorable, so we will get this as CH3, maybe CH2 plus, like this carbocation will be formed. So mercuric bridge is not formed with this, so instead of going this way, we will take HgOAc twice, right, in H2O, and then NaBH4. This is what we call it as oxymercuration demercuration. Hope all of you remember that. But in the case of triple bond, right, in the case of triple bond, even if you take acidic medium, if it gets added, we'll have CH triple bond CH2 plus. So a vinylic carbocation is formed, so it is not very much feasible to go in the forward direction. Got it? So hence this mercury type of groups are used. Okay, instead of mercury, sometimes you may be given cadmium 2 plus, still the reaction works. Right? So basically we need a strong Lewis acid here which can bond as a bridge here, and then increases the electrophilicity of carbon, and after which water will attack on it. Correct. So that is the intention behind Kucherow's reagent. Otherwise, in triple bond also oxymercuration demercuration takes place. If you are asked like between this and oxymercuration, this is much cheaper cost in lab. Oxymercuration demercuration, you know, it's very costly too. Next, if you check out hydroboration oxidation, what we call it as HBO reaction. In HBO reaction, I can either use B2H6, right? That is what we use, B2H6 THF, right? In H2O2 and OH minus, correct? But instead of using that, now we are using SiA2BH, okay? Siamyl boron hydride, which will be like this, right? Now, what is the advantage of using that? Here basically the reaction which happens would only give that one hydride shift. So if you see the mechanism, happens something like this: R C triple bond CH with B and H here, and SiA twice here, sorry, SiA and SiE. This is how it is present. So this pi would attack here, okay, hydride would shift here. Same thing what you have seen in hydroboration, a similar step would happen here. So we'll get this as R CH double bond CH B and SiA and SiA. Alright. Now because this has become sufficiently bulky, you don't expect the other reaction or any other pi bond to act here. Got it? I meant to say there is no other hydride which can transfer from boron here. Got it? To any other alkyne group. Right. So which means after this directly we will do the oxidation step, which is H2O2 in the presence of OH minus. H2O2 in the presence of OH minus. Remember how this mechanism used to happen? First we used to take this peroxide, treat that with OH minus, and this would have formed HOO minus, right, plus H2O. and this HOO minus, this O minus would have attacked on the empty orbitals of boron, right. So, I will just show that this step is not needed for you. So, you can see this is forming RCH double bond CH with B and SiA here with HOO minus attacking on the empty orbitals of boron, right. As does that happen here, once that boron got added here, so this pi will shift here, correct, and sorry, this charge will shift here and this pi will attack on OH here, okay, because this bond will be left by boron. I am directly writing the steps because the same thing has been seen in oxidation, which you will see. First we will have this boron formation here with oxygen, right, and due to its double bond, due to its donating nature on boron, this bond will break and oxygen will get O minus charge on it. So, we will get more like BOH3 minus, and sorry, here in this case SiO2 BO minus, and here you would get this as RCH double bond CHOH, okay, which tautomerizes to form RCH2 CHO. Right. So, that is how we will get the respective aldehydes. Next is with alkaline KMnO4, right, what we call it as Bayer's reagent. Conditions are we need to take cold dilute alkaline KMnO4. In that case, we have seen that how the reaction proceeds. Basically, we will have magnesium manganese group attached to that. So, let me just show a little bit of mechanism here. RC triple bond CR with O Mn, this type of an manganate ester is formed, double bond O minus, this type of an ester is formed. Where it closes as double bond, this group makes it as O minus and O minus here, right. So, we would get this as RC O minus double bond CO minus and R with MnO2 plus, and this on hydrolysis we will get this enol form RCOH double bond COH and R, right, which will tautomerize first to, this will first tautomerize to form RC double bond O COH and R, right, and KMnO4, even for that dilute amount also, it will oxidize the primary and secondary alcohols. We have seen that recently in alcohols chapter, that primary and second degree alcohols will be converted into respective aldehydes or ketones. Next, ozonolysis on triple bond, how the ozonolysis takes place, right. So, the kind of ozonoid, I am directly writing the ozonoid form, which is useful, which is something which you need to know. We will have ozonoid formation, but this time, right, with carbon-carbon bond intact, that carbon-carbon bond is not broken, got it. And also while bond breaking, you will break from here, you will break from here, right, and we will break from here and we will break from here this way. So, carbon-carbon bond is not broken. So, that brings to us like this makes RC double bond O, C double bond O and R, and that nascent oxygen is being consumed by either zinc or DMS, whatever the reductive part which you are taking. So, it will become DMSO. I guess all of you understood that. Just check out. Once again, we started off with alkenes. What are the reactions? All of these are repeated ones. Alkynes, We have seen these reactions up to ozonolysis. Suppose if I take toluene, from toluene I can get CHO by using certain reaction. First reaction which we can check about is that CrOCl2 in CS2, okay, which means completely anhydrous and non-polar solvent. So in that case, if you check it out, what is the reaction going to happen? First, toluene on reaction with CrO3, right? CrO3 or CrO2Cl2, either ways it is fine. Got it. So first, let me write the first one, CrO2Cl2. Okay, CrO2Cl2. So first we would get this as, this is around 0 degree centigrade. We will get CH with OCrO2, OCrOCl2, OCrOCl2, right. So this way you will have a complex which is formed. This is given directly in NCERT, so you can remember it the way it is. So in short, let me show you how it looks like. You know the structure of this, Cr double bond O, Cl and Cl. Okay. First, the lone pair of oxygen, will take away the proton here. This hydrogen is slightly acidic due to the hyperconjugating nature of CH3. So it will take that and we will get something like this. Immediately, as soon as that hydrogen is left, we will get carbon would get the negative charge on it, which will attack on chromium, right. So we would have something like this, CH. Okay, and imagine this happening 2 times here with oxygen. So we would have 2 connections here, O like this, and this would have Cr, and that H got shifted onto one of the chromium here, and we'll have Cl and Cl. So you can judge again, 2 oxygens, 2 oxygens, 2 chlorines, 2 chlorines. So imagine the same way here also, Cr, OH, Cl and Cl. This kind of a group is formed. This is called chromium complex. So first a chromium complex is formed this way. Then on hydrolysis, okay, by the way, this is only possible in CS2. If it is in acidic solution, which means if it is in aqueous solution, even this hydrogen will be lost and finally it will go up to acids. But in CS2, we will only get this chromium complex. This is a slow reaction. Then once the complex is formed, then you hydrolyze that. These groups will leave here, both this group will leave here and makes this as CH, OH and OH, which will become an aldehyde here. Now if this reaction is taking place in CS2, then it is called Etard reaction. Like I said, if it was taking place in acidic medium or in aqueous solution directly, if CS2 is not given, directly acidic medium is given, right, then it will go up to, suppose if this was directly given as this H3O plus, then the complex which is formed may be 3 of them. So we will have this as CrOH Cl2 thrice, which on hydrolysis will finally become an acid, COOH. Alright. So chromyl chloride or CrO3, any of that, if it is used in acidic conditions or in aqueous conditions directly, they will end up as acids. But if you use first in anhydrous conditions like CS2, or you use that in uh, anhydride, then first they will stop at two positions there, I mean at two different complex formation it will stop, and then the reaction will hydrolyze to form aldehyde. Now the same reaction can be repeated even for the second case, like here I have written here, this is an acid anhydride, right. So what might take place, let me show that once again. So same toluene here on treatment with CrO3 on treatment with CrO3 in the presence of AC2O, right. This is CH3CO twice O. So in the presence of AC2O here, got it. So first we will get this kind of a complex here. So same type of a complex will be formed. I'm showing with CH here, CH O Cr OH double bond O, O Cr OH double bond O. So think a formation like this, and because in the presence of AC2O, right, so that chromium would be replaced by this AC2O as OAC and OAC like this, which on hydrolysis will give us aldehyde. This is something to remember, guys, right. So you just need to know that chromium complex is formed. Just follow the steps. First a chromium complex is formed, then on hydrolysis we will get aldehyde. If it is in case of AC2O, first AC2O or first chromium complex is formed and then AC2O will replace that, after which on hydrolysis we will get aldehydes. Okay. So what is the role of AC2O? We will just write down that AC2O, it prevents further oxidation. Second one doesn't have a name, only the first one in CS2 it is called Etard reaction. See the next reaction most of you have come across this during the exams, right, that what happens if you have uh, toluene reacted with Cl2. This is always a confusion, like the product should be aldehyde or an acid. Okay. So again, following NCRT, what we will do, first we will get CHCl2. The third chlorine can also be replaced, there is no issue with that. But if you do a controlled mechanism by adding aqueous KOH around 100 degrees, then we would be able to get aldehydes. Okay. If nothing is mentioned here, it is only mentioned as Cl2 excess H nu, then we will replace all these three chlorines, and after that if you treat that with aqueous KOH, then we will get this as COOH. Okay. So just be little careful while checking out the question. If this way it is given Cl2 H nu, because JEE Mains 2 times this was asked, right. I think you have recently come across that while we were discussing benzene. Yeah, there also we have discussed this. So if you see that two chlorines would be replaced, then aqueous KOH, it will give benzaldehyde. Next, if you take it from benzene and use certain reagents, we will be able to get substitution of C double bond OR as well. We call this as Friedel-Crafts acylation. So basically we need either R C double bond O Cl in the presence of AlCl3. We can either go for R C double bond O O twice O, that is anhydride in the presence of AlCl3. You can use acid chlorides or anhydrides or anhydride, or I can use RCOOH acid in the presence of HF or polyphosphoric acid PPA. Either of this case, you will see OH2 plus, which will come out and generates an electrophile RC double bond O, which will make a Friedel-Crafts acylation on benzene to get this. How do we get the product here? Okay, if you use DMSO, then also we will get this as RCHO. Alright, here also we will get this as RCH. So I can regard DMSO as mild oxidizing agent. We can regard this as mild oxidizing agent. Let me show you the mechanism. If you take RCH2Cl and treat that with DMSO, this is DMSO, okay, right? So the lone pair on oxygen here attacks by SN2 mechanism, removes this, and we'll get this as RCH H O double bond S CH3 CH3, the same positive charge, right? Then the Cl minus which has left will extract this proton, and that would become RCH minus with O plus double bond S CH3 and CH3. And this, if you check it out, the bond from here, this minus will make a double bond formation here, and this happening because of the strong carbon oxygen double bond. C double bond O is the motivation for this reaction. So we'll have this as RCH double bond O with single bond S CH3 CH3 with minus charge on it. Okay, got it. And this oxygen will get positive charge, right? Got it. Then Cl minus will attack on it. This group would rearrange to this, and we will get this as RCH double bond O plus CH3 S H CH3 and Cl. I just skipped a step here. So basically first HCl which has released here, that would come as H plus here, and then Cl minus will attack, O will come out, and you will get this aldehyde. Alright. So short way of looking at, the easier way of looking at it, this shortcut is this. First write CH HCl here and write this as double bond O, correct? Double bond O and this, got it? Remove this entire group here and join that with oxygen. So HCl is left with sulfur and oxygen got joined there. So that's how we will get this as an aldehyde or ketone. So it happens at primary and secondary. Tertiary not so much, because the first step, if you can see, it is SN2 mechanism, right? So primary and secondary alkyl halides can undergo oxidation to give aldehydes or ketones.